why don't we do that more with our health promotion programs?
So I have a question for you, Brother Loomis.
Sure.
Are we supposed to be designing our own program or finding an evidence-based program to use? And from what I understand, hold on, one more part of the question. Aren't we supposed to, looking forward, find something that isn't already in the area? Like bring in a new program that isn't already being used?
You want to offer something new to your population, but you don't have to invent something new itself.
Okay.
So, if, for example, if you want to go with, you know, a family strengthening program to reduce substance abuse, I mean, right there, I would say look up Carol Comfort's Strengthening Families program. It's used worldwide. She is retired from the University of Utah now, but she worked in the department that I'm in right now, and this program has been more thoroughly researched probably than you know, almost any other. Maybe the diabetes prevention program has more research with it and some of the other things like that, but she had great success, flies all over the world training people how to use the program now, and it's designed specifically for, you know, strengthening families to reduce substance abuse.
But if we have one like that already, we have to look for something that we're not using, right?
Yeah. What are you running that exact program?
Well, I'm the Community Coalition Coordinator for Substance Abuse Prevention in our community. So I partner with the school district and the health department to bring prevention strategies in our area. And so because it's a designated marijuana fund that grants this funding, you know, they give you $110,000 and say this is what we want. They give us the evidence-based programs that we're allowed to use based on that funding. And we do have a strengthening family list in there, and we are using it. We're using Lions Quest, we're using PACS, we have sport program. But what we are lacking, from what I can see, is an environmental strategy. But we're only allowed to use 15% of our funding for an environmental strategy. But that's still 15% of $110,000 that we can spend in a strategy, you know, based.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So, well, I think if you feel you know your population the best and what you're already doing, so you're kind of already a step beyond the needs assessment, right? You've kind of already done that, which is awesome. If you feel like that's the piece that's missing, I would go ahead and I would design that.
Okay.
And then use, rather than the 15% of what they're allotting you, use the $100,000 budget that we're giving you, create something. And you know what? You know, you at some point you'll be able to take this information, you know, and find a stakeholder, somebody, you know, some grant, and say, look at this. We've already got this prepared. We just need the funding for it. You know,
yeah,
and then
get a new grant. Yeah,
exactly. So if that's what you're missing, I mean, that's what the needs assessment is telling you to do. So
okay, so part of our homework frustrations is just what you have nailed for us, that get the cart ahead of the horse, but we're already beyond the needs assessment part of it. We really want to get going on doing the strategy, you know, implementing the program. So how can we do that to best suit our needs as a student, but also get to use the time, time limited.
Yeah. No. So this next week is kind of a individual week. So the homework is going to go over theory and models, and you have kind of a big template that you got to fill out, and it's fairly time consuming again. But week 9 should be open today. You should be able to go in and look at that content already, and that's the interventions, the activities week, where you're actually designing that part of your program. So you can go ahead and start talking about that as a group this next week to kind of get it ahead of the game, I guess I would say.
And another question that we had is regarding surveys. I know they were a little bit discouraged, at least in your video. You said you had to get institutional what was it?
IRB approval. IRB approval.
Oh, okay. Awesome. So I have a survey that is already, evidence-based and planned, and I can get it in Spanish and English, and I can give it out right away if that's something that we're allowed to do, to get answers to our specific questions in order to assess to address our environmental, or our populations.
Yeah. What survey do you have? What is it you're looking to do?
Yeah, do you want me to send you the actual survey so you can see what the questions are?
No, does it have a name?
Yeah, so I have access to the Athena website, which is a Washington State prevention site for the CPWI communities. And so all the CPWI communities that are in their various cohorts have access to this. So there's training tools and surveys and everything that you need, webinars, to be able to learn what actually this whole class is, but on a bigger scale. And so on there is a it is a survey for a community to assess their perception of substance abuse and different things. And I think it'll help us answer some of those questions about what we maybe assume.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely will. If you feel like you have the time to do that, I would say go ahead, because it's been provided, through your department or whatever, and so it's already been evaluated.
Yeah.
But I would say if you don't feel like you have to do it for the assignment, with all the other work that we have going on, it might just be overkill.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I would say go ahead. Don't worry about IRB for this instance, because you're kind of operating in two worlds right now, where you're working, but then you're also doing stuff for class. So yeah, that's kind of what I would say about it.
But it can also be frustrating, because I don't want to drag my partners along on this process of, this is where my interests lie. This is what I'm, invested in. But at the same time, it just fits it perfectly. And there's so many things I can access that they can't.
Yeah. So one thing I would say is go ahead and do what you need to for the assignments. Do your best there. But then as far as your work goes, you can always go back in and flesh out some of these areas that you're doing right now to try and get a little bit more information to expand kind of the project at the end for your work needs.
Yeah, well then maybe we shouldn't do it, because it was for 2016 and we don't have to do it again till 2018 as far as for work. However, only a handful of people took the survey, and I feel like it just wasn't given good enough.
Sure. Yeah.
No. New job. I've only been doing it for like 2 months.
Yeah, that's always the problem there. Okay. Excellent. Any questions you guys have for me?
I guess I have a question.
Sure.
For these steps, how in detail do you want us to have each little bullet point or something? Because I find that we often just have a sentence or is that okay, or do you want more detail? And I feel like we're repeating ourselves a lot. So
definitely you are. And some of the things are pretty unclear, like the competition piece.
We were just working on that.
So, even I struggle to understand what he is exactly looking for here, because if you think competition, you can think of it as other programs that are doing the same thing as you, but then it asks for that already. It asks it in another section. Or you can look at it, well, what behaviors are competing with the new behavior, right? So healthy eating and, all the advertising that's going on to get you to eat McDonald's, or all the fast food restaurants there are. Those are all competing against your behavior, but we already kind of are looking at, the barriers to change, and some of those are barriers and stuff. So it's a little bit hard to understand what he's looking for there. When people ask, I try and push them to look at the behaviors that are competing against your behavior.
So would this be, for instance, in our substance abuse, you've got kids that are trying those flavored nicotine things in vaping pens. So that's, they're trending towards children. They're trying to target, you know, the cotton candy flavor, cherry, whatever. And so that's a competing competition, I guess, for substance abuse prevention, where we're saying don't smoke and stay away from
exactly. That's what I would tend to look at is that type of
or the marijuana campaign, the billboards everywhere that are encouraging smoking marijuana because it's legal, but not for them.
Right. Yeah, that's a new challenge that we haven't figured out yet in the health promotion field, I guess. So
what I take it that it's okay to just have a little blip, like a little sentence for each little section.
Yeah, so it kind of depends on you. What you want to do is look at your behaviors and then kind of gauge it. You know, how much information is really out there. You know, if I just put in, you know, the vaping, is that enough, or are there a lot of other things and I'm just not taking the time to figure it out? That's kind of how I'm going to gauge it. If something doesn't fit exactly with your program, then there's just not going to be a lot of information out there, and I'm gonna understand that, right? So I would say kind of just think through your project, make sure you're doing a thorough job, and that's what I'll look for.
Okay, I feel like that.
Yeah, good question. And then the second thing I would say is, at the end of this semester, we're not writing up like a paper. You know, it's not like a 20-page paper. What you're going to do is make corrections to each of these sections that we're turning in, and then turn it in as a big project, but just revise, not like a written project. And if you revise all of these, if you take the suggestions I give you and improve, I'm going to be able to go back and give you some of those points back.
Okay.
You know? So, yeah.
Yeah, we wondered about that with the citations. Like, we didn't include everything that we had. I overlooked that, I guess, or we overlooked.
I didn't realize we needed 10 citations based on that.
Yeah, so
we have those, but it's a matter of adding them. So I go back and look at that and say, oh yeah, they did have these.
Right.
He does it this semester. She said.
I have a question. As far as zeroing in on one health need, we've kind of decided that substance abuse is what we're going to look at. Do we want to narrow that down even further to one type of substance? Sounds like marijuana is like the big thing in Washington that's kind of a problem. Do we want to do that, or just keep it as substance abuse in general?
Yeah, so I would say that one's up to you as well. If you feel like within your population there's one that's dominating, that if you change that behavior, it would be the kind of the best situation, then, you know, just target that one. But if you feel like, you know, there's a mix, you know, like you said, there's this marijuana going on, there's vaping that's becoming just increasingly popular, and the fallacies that are going along with vaping, you know, is huge.
Now they're vaping marijuana, actually.
Oh, really? Taking it another step further now. So, yeah, I don't think you need to definitely narrow it to just one substance, but your population, and kind of try and find out.
Okay. Cool.
Anything else?
I think that's all my questions for now.
Okay. Time that we're required to meet as a group. This is an assignment. After this, you don't have to, but I've been telling everybody, if you need to, or if you want to, you know, if you want to sit down and talk something out as a group, to do that. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
Excellent. Okay. You know, I think I emailed me, but when I saw your group, I thought this is going to be one of the best. And I'm just based off of kind of your responses to the like that. I thought that this is going to be really good. So I'm really excited to see what you guys do here. I think it's going to be excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks.
No problem. All right, guys, let me know if there's anything I can help with, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Weekend.
Thanks.
You too.
You too.
All right, bye.
Okay. I'm gonna stop I forgot to start recording right at the beginning.